What's going on, Clash Smashers? Rocky here today, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different in Clash Clans. Rather than playing the game, we're going to be ranking every single troop and hero in the game into a tier list based on my opinions of how useful these troops are and farming, war, pushing, just how good they are overall, and the heroes as well. I noticed that my homie Echo Gaming was doing similar type lists for different town hall levels. He's done 9 and 10 so far, as you can kind of see here on his channel, and I was like, wow, Echo, that's pretty awesome, man. I kind of want to do those, so I kind of got his blessing, and that's what we're going to do today. Is we're going to make our own tier list. But you guys should definitely go over, check out Echo Gaming, drop him a sub. I'll link him down there in the description. He does a lot of great strategy content, a lot of awesome content overall. So go show Echo some love and comment on his latest video. Tell him that Bash sent you. That way he knows that you guys are over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to rank all 21 troops. There's 21 troops here, and all 3 of the heroes all in here into the different tier levels. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these guys and we're going to move them around, with S class being like the godly class, the best overall troops, and F class being a complete dud, you know, C kind of there in the middle. We're going to rank these guys all in there based on my opinions, and I would love to hear what you guys think. If you guys have different opinions, let me know down there in the comment section where you guys kind of differ from me. We're going to start, if you kind of look on the troop list, we're going to start from the left side and work our way through. That's kind of how I have him ordered in here, but let's go ahead and let's get at it, guys. Let's start off with the barbarians. So barbarians, they don't get used a ton. I mean, at the lower town halls, they're good for, you know, like Barch and dry Barch. I mean, they're really not that great, and the king spawns them, but really you kind of need the king to make them great. So I don't know that I want to put them in an F, because at the lower town halls they're pretty useful, but really, like, when you get up to town hall 9 and 10, even higher than that, even like 7, 8, you don't really use them besides farming. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna go. I've been between an F and a D on these guys. We're gonna go ahead and throw them at a D because they're not completely useless. They do have some purpose in the game, but they're just not that great. So archers, what about archers? Now archers are a little bit different. They have some range. They do some, you know, they could shoot over walls, but they're not like a main focus of any army. At the lower town halls, they're good with Barch, Jai Barch, even Garch, Giants archers. So I think the archers are just a little bit better than the barbarians, because you could also use them at the higher town halls that pick off some stuff. Especially like in war and stuff. So we're going to give the archers just a little bit higher of a ranking than those barbarians, just because I think they're slightly more useful. Now giants actually, I think that's my brother. The giants are a good tanking troop. They're a 5 housing space. They're relatively cheap in the game, and they're pretty useful all throughout. However, they're not like a main focus of anything. They're not just like any OP character, but you notice that giants do really well tanking, really well in farming, but with the Pekkas kind of emerging lately, I really wanted to give the giants a B, but with Pekkas emerging, I think that's going to knock the giants down to a C, maybe even like a D, just because with Pekkas kind of being in there, you don't really need the giants as much as in here. So we're going to go with a C final answer on those giants. Now goblins. Goblins are absolute gods. They just destroy everything. They go out there, they get tons of loot. Okay, that's not true at all. Goblins basically have no purpose in war, except for maybe like a few sprinkled in for cleanup. They're pretty useful for farming, though, overall. This one's really personally biased because I love goblins a ton. But there have been people that have made it to Legends League with just goblins. But man, it is hard for me to give these guys a higher rank than a D. Oh, those goblins, I love them, but really they have one purpose, and it's just farming and grabbing dead loot. You can knife with them, but that even, you know, by themselves, you need a little bit with them. You need spells and stuff. So by themselves, it pains me. It pains me to put the goblins at D, but I'm going to. Next up, we have the wall breakers. Now, wall breakers were probably an A class, given maybe what, a year and a half ago before Town Hall 12 came out. I don't know how long it's been since Town Hall 12 came out. Wall breakers were probably A class because you needed them in every single army. Now, if you're at Town Hall 10, through 12, we're not really using a ton of wall breakers, and that kind of hurts these guys a little bit. They are still really important, especially at the lower levels, but I don't know, guys. With the emergence of siege machines and jump spells being so popular, even quad quakes, I feel like wall breakers have fell off, and wall breakers are gonna earn my first F grade. I'm not a fan of wall breakers. They're just one purpose. Their one purpose is just to break walls. They can't do much more than that. And then you get to a point where you don't even necessarily need those wall breakers. So wall breakers going to be my first F grade for our tier list in Clash of Clans. Oh my goodness, poor wall breakers. I can't believe I did it to them. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, we have balloons. Balloons are so useful. Balloons, once you unlock them, are immediately great for farming. Even at like Town Hall 3, when you're farming with your low Town Hall, you can get balloons in your clan castle and wreck. You see a lot of the elite clans doing balloon attacks in war, Lalo attacks in war. You use them for farming. Balloons are, in my opinion, one of the most OP troops in the game right now. If you learn how to use balloons, they're going to lead you to the promised land. So for that, I'm going to give balloons the S class. I consider balloons pretty elite. Most of the balloon attacks are considered skill attacks, and they do a lot of damage. They do splash damage when they die. They're useful for farming. They're useful for pushing. They're useful for war. Balloons, I believe, are our first true S-class troop. Top tier troops that everyone loves to use, and they're just so useful. Now, next up, we have wizards, and wizards are pretty interesting for me. You can use them to farm well. You can, throw them in behind some giants or behind some Pekkas, and they'll just snatch up some loot. You usually use them in war to clean up a little bit. So I think wizards are pretty useful, especially at the lower town halls. You start using those like kill squad attacks for lower town halls, and the wizards are going to do really well. So I'm going to give the wizards a B, just because they're a pretty good utility troop. Next up, we have the healers. Now, I'm really torn on this one. I've been thinking about the healers quite a bit. Do the healers belong like somewhere down here, or are they up here? Healers are pretty strong, and right now as the game stands, like the current meta, and this is based on what I see, in wars in the various clans that I'm in and stuff, healers get used quite a bit, whether it be Queen Walk, Queen Charge, whether it be the Witch attacks, even the Pekka Bobat using tons of healers. I think healers are pretty top class. They're not in like every attack, but they're making a big difference in farming. I love using Queen Walk Miners and war and pushing. I think healers are pretty important. I don't think they're godly, but they're pretty important. We're going to give the healers an A grade here because they're a pretty important troop in my opinion. Dragons up next. Now, dragons are interesting because once you unlock dragons at Town Hall 7 and 8, they're OP. They're 7 and 8. You can 3-star almost any Town Hall 7, any Town Hall 8 with just all dragons. It's pretty disgusting. When you get to Town Hall 9, there's a little bit of a fall off, but when you get back up to 10, Dragbat starts becoming a thing, and even 10, 11, 12, we're starting to see more and more dragons getting worked in there, but they're really expensive as far as farming goes. Also, all the prices you see like on my troops are discounted from the gold pass, so that's why they're a little bit less. They're pretty expensive as far as farming goes, but they are a strong troop, and they are really useful throughout. And this is going to lead me to give the dragons an A grade, just because the overall Town Hall level, guys, at Town Hall 7, 8, they're strong. 9, 10, 11, 12, they're still pretty useful. 9, you don't see them as much these days, but they could still be used at 9. So I'm going to give the dragons an A grade right now in the current meta. Pekkas, oh man, Pekkas, don't get me started. Pekkas are one of these troops that have been like, what do we do with Pekkas? Do we use them? Do we not use them? Do we go wipe? Do we go vape? What do we do with the Pekkas? And they've kind of emerged lately as an elite troop, especially in the war scene and the higher ups. They can take down a Town Hall 12 level 5 by themselves. You can use them at lower town halls for like go wipe. You could use them with just wipe, wizards and Pekkas. They're pretty useful. I mean, you could throw them in there and farm with them. I like Pekkas quite a bit, but they are a little bit pricey, which is what holds me back from putting them S grade. I think they're going to be an A grade. They're not necessarily everywhere, but I think right now in the current meta of Clash Clans in 2019, Pekkas are pretty strong and pretty useful. Next up, we have the baby dragons. Now, baby dragons are rarely used on their own. They're used in pushing, you know, low Town Hall pushing like Town Hall 9s, Town Hall 10s. Baby Dragloon is huge. However, they don't really get used a ton of war besides like, you know, just funneling or cleaning up. But anymore at the higher Town Halls, Electro Dragons have kind of taken that place for the Baby Dragons. So I would love to give a Baby Dragon a higher grade, but I'm gonna have to go. C with the Baby Dragons. They have some purpose. They're not completely useless. They're just not amazing. Next up, miners. All right, so miners. These guys, I'm torn on them because I suck with miners in war. However, if you've seen like Itsu or like the Tribe Gaming guys use miners, they're pretty dirty in war. Even Town Hall 10, Town Hall 11, they're pretty nasty and they're great for Dark Elixir farming. If you can learn how to use miners, I feel like they're pretty elite. The one downside, they don't unlock until the higher Town Halls. Town Hall 10 to get miners, but they can go up to level 3 at Town Hall 10. And they're pretty powerful. They're pretty cheap. When you use them for farming, they use no Dark Elixir so that you can go ahead, upgrade those heroes. And between, you can use them for pushing, you can use them for war, you can use them for farming. Are they S-class? I don't know if they're S-class. They're close. They're like, probably like right here for me. Just because they take in war, it takes a ton of skill to execute a proper miner attack, and you have to get a good queen charge most of the time. So we're gonna give miners an A grade just because they're pretty useful in most things, but they're pretty hard to learn in my opinion. I feel like I'm favoring a lot of troops here. I don't think I'm supposed to have this many A grades, but it's whatever. It's whatever happens. E-Dragons, Electro Dragons, a newer troop in the game. They're kind of a safe 2-star to spam at Town Hall 11 and 12. Queen Walk E-Drags is pretty nice. Again, you don't get them until the higher Town Halls, though. Rarely are you just going to straight up 3-star with a straight E-Drag attack. Sometimes you do. It happens, but not often. They're being used a ton as like utility, those funnel troops clearing out those edges. But they are powerful. I don't want to give them an A grade. I feel like B is where they go. Maybe even C. Like they're kind of in between here because they're kind of just like a spam spray and pray troop, and if you don't freeze sweepers, they can really get screwed over. But they do have a lot of utility. They are pretty useful at the current meta. We're gonna give them a B grade right here. Minions. Oh, minions. These guys, I love minions. I love Lunian. If you guys know anything about me, Lunian, one of my favorite all-time attacks. But the minions by themselves, they're not very useful. They definitely need something with them. I wish they were better by themselves, but in the home village, they just don't cut it. You know, they need balloons in front of them. They sometimes can clean up, you know, some dead buildings, but they don't have a ton of purpose by themselves, and it pains me. But I'm gonna have to give the minions a D grade right now, guys. Actually, I don't know. I feel like minions might have to go F grade. Just because by themselves, they don't do a ton. I kind of want to move goblins up quite a bit. But I think we're going to move them down to F grade. I don't want any troops to be F grades, but when I think about it, I think minions are right there. Hog Riders are really interesting. We just got recently a brand new Hog Rider level 9 for Hog Riders. I personally haven't seen a ton of hog attacks, but I have seen a few, and they've been pretty interesting. Now, at Town Hall 8, 9, hogs are OP. They'll destroy anything. Even 10, I've been killing it with hogs at 10. But they are pretty much just a war troop. They're not really used for pushing because you can't really universally hit with them. They're not used for farming because they're Dark Elixir troops, and they cost quite a bit of Dark Elixir. So, the hogs, while they're probably, between the hogs and the loons, my favorite troops, I don't think I can grade hogs higher than a C. They are a great war troop. They are an amazing war troop. 7 through 10, maybe even 11, and coming into 12. They're an amazing war troop, but that's about where they go, is only war. The war pushes them up, though, because they're so good in war. Valkyries. Oh, man. I caught a lot of flack from you guys recently. I said if I could remove any one troop from the game, I would remove Valkyries, and that was just because I don't really want to move any troops, but I don't really use Valks. And Valks are kind of almost like spray and pray. Like, literally, spam them in there, rage them up, hope they don't go outside the base and cut through the core. there's a lot of luck involved with Valks, and in the current meta, I mean, you see a little bit of Goho at the low town hall, or Go Vaho at the lower town hall levels, but these gals, they cost quite a bit of Dark Elixir. They're so unpredictable. They are useful, but I personally, I'm not a huge fan. I just don't like how much you cannot control a Valkyrie. That makes me grade them at a D grade. They do have some purpose, don't get me wrong. I just don't like how unpredictable those Valkyries can be. Golems. Oh, Golems. Golems have kind of fell off. With the introduction of siege machines, you don't really need Golems as much. I mean, still one Golem here and there is good, but we used to see 2, 3 Golems on every single attack, especially Town Hall 9, 10. Every single attack, if you were using Kill Squad, you had 2 or 3 Golems in there. But now, with the way the current meta is, we don't really need that many Golems. You still use them a lot at, Town Hall 8 and 9 because you don't have those siege machines. And occasionally 10, 11, 12, you'll see a Golem in there, but they're kind of fell off. They're not really that useful anymore. They're good for pushing armies. They're a good tank troop. They're reliable. They're strong. They're good for war for the same purposes, but you can't really farm with Golems. They're too expensive. With the way the current meta is, I think Golems gotta fall off to a D grade. I don't know. I'm just thinking about the higher town halls. I don't know though. At 8 and 9, you use Golems quite a bit. Maybe we go C grade. I'm between C and D with them, because they're useful, but they're not always necessary. I mean, look at like Pekka Bobat. Look at like the bat slap attacks. It pains me, guys, but we got to give the Golems a D. Witches are amazing right now. I'm in love with witches. The bat slap attack, witch slap at Town Hall 9, they're just really strong. You throw them in there, and it's super spammy. Don't get me wrong, it's super spammy, but on the right bases, witches are going to destroy. They're going to wreck everything. They're just so good at getting in there, spawning up some Larrys, and just going right through the base. With that being said, they usually need some support, and they do cost quite a bit of Dark Elixir. I think you can actually push with witches now. Me personally, I've been pushing with not pushing, but farming in Legends League. I think you could push with witches if you really wanted. I don't think we can give them an A grade. They have like no farming purpose. They do have pushing purpose, and they're not used in every single war attack. So, I mean, they're used quite a bit, but they're kind of on par with a miner. You know what I mean? They're kind of on par with a miner. And I feel like I'm just being too friendly to some of these troops. We're gonna give witches an A, just because I'm really in love with the witches right now. I think I'm too in love with these troops, guys. Oh man, I think I'm just so biased in Clash of Clans. Lava Hounds are a really nice troop. They go with the balloons. I mean, honestly, balloons by themselves, they need a little bit of support, but Lava Hounds come in really nicely. However, Lava Hounds by themselves can be a little bit rough, and they're really expensive. Like, usually, if this was probably a few months ago before the bats got nerfed, and the like 6 Lava Hound attacks were still being used as much as they were, Lava Hounds would be a lot higher. But right now, I feel like Lava Hounds are definitely a necessity. They're really good. They're kind of a utility. We're going to throw the Lava Hounds right in there at B, because they're good, but they've kind of fell off here recently, in my personal opinion. Next up, we have the Bowlers. Now, Bowlers, I think Bowlers are incredible. Town Hall 9s, you get Bowlers in the Clan Castle, you wreck. Town Hall 8s, you get Bowlers in the Clan Castle, you wreck. Town Hall 10s, you start using stuff like Bow Witch or Small Kill Squad with like the Go Hobos. Town Hall 9s with the Go Hobos. Town Hall 11, you use Bowlers quite a bit. 12, you use Bowlers quite a bit. I think Bowlers might be an S-class troop. They don't really have much farming purpose, but you can sprinkle a few in here. They're not like so expensive to the point where it breaks your army. I feel like I'm going to give Bowlers an S-class grade right now. I like Bowlers quite a bit. I think they're very useful. They have a ton of use in the game right now. So we're going to give Bowlers an S-class grade right there, guys. A godly troop in the game of Clash of Clans. Once they got, fixed with the housing space and stuff, Bowlers have just been really useful and OP. Next up, we have the Ice Golems, a relatively new troop. These guys, I don't know. These guys do okay. We're seeing them a lot in Clan Castles. We're seeing them be used, in the Pekka Bobat, the Bat Slap. But again, you don't get them to the higher town hall levels, like really higher town hall levels. And they really don't have, like, I don't think I would ever really sprinkle them in for farming or anything. I think I would rather just prefer giants because they do cost that 240 dark elixir. But in war, they have some purpose in war. Don't get me wrong. It's just they're not they're not like, you know, upper echelon. I think they're going to be like kind of middle of the pack right here at a C because they are used and they're defensively they're OP. I really haven't taken into account the defense of some of these troops because baby drags, maybe that's what keeps baby drags at a C is the defensive use of them. We're going to give ice golems a C. Defensively, they're pretty strong. They're a good utility troop in there. So there's our troops. All 21 troops are ranked. We got 2 S class, 2 F class, and kind of favoring a lot of troops. I think I play favorites in Clash of Clans. Next up, we have our 3 heroes: our king, our queen, our warden. Where are we going with these guys? So let's start off with the Barbarian King. He is strong. He's a beast. He's a tank. You can almost replace a golem with a Barbarian King and an army. That's how strong he is. He can take down a Town Hall 12 level 5 by himself, depending on what's around, obviously. He's a good utility troop. He's a good, not necessarily utility. Utility is the wrong word. He's a good standalone troop. But you can't, like, you know, he gets held up on walls. You can't, like, just use him by himself. I think the king is going to be about a B right there, guys. About a B for us. He's useful, but he's not OP. Queen. Oh, so Queen is obviously probably the best hero in my opinion. And the Queen, I really want to give her an S class. But, you know, that AI where the Queen, I've seen so many 99% where the Queen, rather than shoot over a wall, will just start shooting a wall to break out. But, I mean, you're talking about, like, Queen walk attacks. You're talking about the Queen coming in there, that ability where she regens some health, goes invisible. I think the Queen, I think I gotta grade her S class, guys. Yes, she can be stupid at times, but I think the pros outweigh the cons there with the Queen. If you learn how to use her, you learn how to Queen walk, she's gonna be really strong. And then finally, we have the Grand Warden, who boosts up your troops' hit points, and he can make them immortal for a few seconds with his Eternal Tome. I like the Grand Warden quite a bit. He doesn't have a skin though. That kind of turns me off, but he's pretty useful. Once you unlock him, it's a game changer. It makes things not necessarily easier, but it makes things a lot different, a lot stronger. I think we're gonna put the Warden right here in an A because if he doesn't get behind the troops, if he kind of gets locked on by himself, he goes down quick. So we're gonna give him an A. So here we go, guys. There is my Clash of Clans tier ranking. Oh, let me see if I want to change anything. I feel like Wizards could actually go a little bit lower. We're going to keep them at B. I think they could go a little bit lower, though. Barbs are... I think I like this. I think I'm good where I'm at, except for these guys should obviously be S-class. They are godly for sure. But really, they're just farming. They're just a farming troop. I could potentially move Hogs up to B. They're probably like a C plus, honestly. Maybe even a B minus. Like, Hogs are right there. It's just, I haven't seen enough of Hogs being used lately, but 9 and 10, I smash with Hogs all day long. So if I would make one revision right now on my tier list, it would move Hogs up to the B grade. But we're gonna keep them right there. We're gonna keep the Hogs there at C for the time being. Nope, I can't do it, guys. I love Hogs. We're moving them up to B. That is my one revision. And there we go. That is our Town Hall everything tier list. Our Clash of Clans troop tier list. No spells in there. I didn't want to go too crazy with all the spells and stuff and siege machines, but I think this is good. And we might do some more with this. If you guys end up liking this quite a bit, we might do more. Let me know what you guys think of this tier list. Do you guys love it? Do you hate it? What do you think I'm wrong on? Let me know down there in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day. Keep on clash bashing.